Good afternoon, everybody, and again, welcome to the afternoon session of the Fast Forward EDU Summit. Once again, we are just absolutely thrilled that you have decided to spend some time with us this afternoon and to connect with different education leaders throughout the country. My name is Justin, and I am the Education Solutions Consultant for Smart Technologies in the Carolinas, cover the Carolinas for Smart, based out of Huntersville, North Carolina, just north of Charlotte. In just a moment, I will introduce our presenter, but before I do, I'd like to just go over a few housekeeping items with you real quick. So depending upon the device that you are using, you'll see either at the top or the bottom of the screen a menu that gives you different options for interacting with our presentation throughout the day. Feel free as we roll through the presentation to use that toolbar to interact with us. We'd ask that any questions or comments that you have, feel free to throw those into the chat box. We have several moderators, including myself, who will be watching that, answering any questions that you have. And periodically, as we go along, if something needs to be verbalized to Casey, our presenter, we'll go ahead and do that, as well as take some questions at the end. I will say, we have a hard stop a little bit later for our presenter, so this one may go just a little bit short than what we're scheduled to, but we'll go ahead and kick this off for us, okay? Quick reminder, we do encourage you to share your experience in this session and throughout the rest of the sessions today on social media, and if you use the hashtag FFWDedu, you will qualify to win prizes from our brand new Smart e-stores. Make sure you do that. For this afternoon's session, which is titled, Why'd They Have to Go Make Software Implementation So Complicated? Simplify Your Education Software. It is my honor to introduce you to my friend Casey Rimmer, who is the Director of Innovation and EdTech for Union County Public Schools in Monroe, North Carolina. Today, Casey is going to walk us through how UCPS implemented Smart Learning Suite and utilized it during the pandemic to reduce the number of programs teachers were switching back and forth from during instruction. UCPS successfully consolidated their software to provide their teachers with a single tool that would integrate devices, collaborate, gamify, assess, as well as transform static content into interactive content. So with that, like I said, it is my absolute honor to welcome my friend Casey Rimmer. Casey, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so excited to be here today. And I'm going to share my screen so that I can share my class code with you so you all can join while I'm kind of giving you a little bit of information. Give me just one second here. All right. So my name is Casey Rimmer, like Justin said, and I work in a school district of 42,000 students, 53 schools. We are right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. We're a bedroom community. A lot of our folks commute into Charlotte for the workday and then come back and live in Union County right on the border. So we are a relatively large district, the sixth largest district in North Carolina, and we have been with Smart for a very long time. I have been with the district. The whole time I've been with the district, we've been with Smart. We started with Smart Boards and Smart Notebook in the very early ages before when the notebook version was one digit, maybe 9. And we have grown into, now we're working with Smart Panels. We are working with Smart Learning Suite. We are working with, we're following along with all the progress that Smart has been making all the years through. So my goal for today is I'm going to get you into my class. I'm going to have you follow along and kind of keep up with some of the learning that I'm sharing or some of the content that I'm sharing, hopefully that you'll learn today. But I'm also going to ask you several times to participate and to interact and engage with my content. So you're going to interact and engage through the Smart Learning Suite. And hopefully my goal is to share with you that you can use Smart Learning Suite and as kind of your Swiss Army knife of EdTech tools. It does a lot of things, and hopefully by the end, I will have shared with you many of the things that you can do inside Smart Learning Suite online with students and with teachers. So I guess I forgot to tell you too that one of the things that I'm really proud of is that I am a SMART exemplary educator, and my passion for SMART was ignited with SMART exemplary educators, and my professional life, as well as probably my personal life, was really transformed when I became a C. And I know that there's some C's in the group, and there's some C's registered to watch today. So I'm very appreciative of SMART for the opportunities that they give to SMART exemplary educators. And if you want to know more about the program, you should definitely check it out, because it's really a great opportunity for educators all across the world. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to close this out. We've got some folks connected. But the first thing that I'm going to ask that we do is we go ahead and we're going to have a shout it out. And I just want you to share with me, what's your role? Are you a district leadership? Just share with me what your role is. So you can sign in with the class code. I'm going to put it back up here for you. You can go to hellosmart.com, enter the class code 313095. You can join as a guest, and then just tell me what your role is. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off while we are kind of operating here in Smart Learning Suite, so that I can save a little bandwidth. So you'll still be able to hear me, you just won't be able to see me. All right, it looks like we got some answers coming up. All right, so we have a choir director. Awesome. I'm just going to pop around a little bit. Teacher. Tech coach, good. Teacher. Psychologist. Ooh, that's exciting. Technology, multi-handicapped deaf and deaf-blind. Special education teacher. Teacher, high school math. Technology integration, computer teacher. Awesome. It looks like we have a lot of teachers in here today, which is great. We got some administrators, some specialists, special ed folks, consultants. I'm going to wait for just a few more to come in. Awesome. And to give you a little background, I have also been a classroom teacher. I was a middle school social studies teacher. I was an ITF, an instructional technology facilitator in our district. So I helped teachers use technology when we first kind of started with smartboards. And I went and got my master's in curriculum and instruction, and kind of ended up flipping from the technology side to the instructional side. And so now I work kind of as a bridge between our technology department and our academics department. I speak enough language of both of them to be a little dangerous, and I try and kind of help define what our user experience is for our students and our teachers. All right, it looks like we've got some answers. Awesome. Lots of awesome educators in the room today. So I'm really excited, and I appreciate you kind of participating in that shout it out, so we can kind of know where you're coming from. So really, when I think about our current state and before the pandemic, as well as kind of before we started to get a handle on what products we had in our district, one might say, not my district, maybe probably not your district, but some districts, when they're using software and they're using digital resources, it's a little bit like a wild west, right? And teachers find resources and they want to use them, and principals and administrators and district staff have a really hard time kind of putting their finger on what products are being used, what they're being used for, what they're capable of. It's kind of messy. And so one of the things that we had to do several years ago is kind of get a handle on what products were being used, what they were being used for, and who was using them. And so I would say that was probably called patchwork ed tech. And patchwork ed tech and patchwork technology, when students move from activity to activity, from one tool to the next tool, there's a lot of places that students can fall through the cracks, and you can lose them because they didn't click on the right place, or they're on the wrong page, or they're in the wrong portal. And so really, I think that's the downside of patchwork ed tech. But also, how do you support that? As a teacher, how do you support that, right? During the COVID-19 closures, support was like the number one thing that I was really worried about, because all of a sudden we needed like 10 times more support than we had in the past, right? Because we're used to, and being a face-to-face classroom, we were able to say, oh, I can see where you are. You're on the wrong page. You need to go here. It's so much harder when you're remote. And so supporting more tools drains your support even much more, right? I also am over professional learning in our district. And so I see how those two things go hand in hand. And when people find great tools that they find on the internet that they really want to use, they start using them, which is okay in many cases. But then they say, Casey, can you teach us how to use this tool? I may or may not know how to use the tool. And I may or may not have the resources or the documents or tutorials to be able to support that use when we're talking about patchworking and tech. Our district is a really, really big stickler for student data and data sharing privacy. And sometimes you don't know what those things are. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And my mom always used to tell me, free doesn't always mean free. And I think that many educators right now are finding that out, right? I remember in March, at the end of March, there was this big giant list of all these tech tools that everybody was giving out for free. And those companies, and I don't blame them, they can't give out free forever. Freemium, right? So they gave them to teachers and students for free. And now they're asking folks to pay for those. And that's how they run their business. And I don't blame them. But I've got a lot of teachers who are saying to me, well, what are we going to do now? We don't have enough funding to buy that product. What are we going to do now? And so free doesn't always mean free. And I think that is true during pandemic learning as well as non-pandemic learning. So the reason that I really like Smart Learning Suite is we use the word empower all the time when we're talking about our students, when we're talking about and we really kind of use that as engage and create outcomes for students, right? When we start thinking about familiar workflows, one of the things that's really nice is when you joined my class today. Now, when you join another class later, you might see my class up there in the list because it remembers. And it does that for our youngest learners. So sometimes some of our elementary teachers are always saying it's really hard to get students into a program. I can't imagine why an elementary teacher might want to get a student into a program 3 times in one day, rather than, I'm sorry, I was watching the video and it popped up. Why would you want to have students, your littlest students, when the most laborious process is getting them logged in? Why in the world would you want to try and do that 3 or 4 times, right? So easy to integrate. It integrates into a lot of the different pieces that folks already have, including Microsoft Teams is coming soon, right? And Google Meet or Google Apps for Education. So it's really easy to integrate into the processes and systems that you already have. It's easy to access. Students go to a link and they type in your code. You can put it up on your screen or your board and they can see it. And then simple to share with your PLC. I think that's really key this year. I think that's going to be something that's really important for our users is that, or with our teachers, is that our teachers are working together to build content that all of them can share. So, and Smart allows us to do that, right? And it's also hardware agnostic. So you're out there using your devices. You could be using an iPad. You could be using a phone to access this presentation. You could be using a tablet, a Mac, all kinds of different hardware. And that's really important as we kind of project teaching out into the wild these days. All right, so we're gonna have another shout it out. And I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite, or a teacher that works with you, what is your #1 free tool? So a tool that you have loved either during COVID-19 closures or before that, what is a free tool that you really enjoy? Okay, awesome. Screencastify. I think you say that Cami. I'm guessing. I've never really heard it said out loud. I read it all the time. Nod, Canva, Kahoot, Edmodo, quizzes. All right, Google Classroom, Flipgrid, Wakelet, Kahoot. Good. You guys are playing right into where I need to. The SLO subscription. Google Classroom, Nearpod, Flipgrid, Screencast-O-Matic, Flipgrid, Handouts, Canva, Pear Deck, Breakout EDU. Good. All right, I'm going to give you maybe just like 1 more minute to get a couple more answers in here. I didn't have any tools until this summer. I'm learning. Good. Well, we hope that you're putting some tools in your tool belt now. This is the best way to learn. Free typing game. Delta Math. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to just share with you, thank you for everyone's contributions. I'm going to share with you, I did a little background research, and Union County Public Schools top 6 free tools prior to COVID-19. And I did that because I'm a little bit worried about the freemium version that we were using. Were the following, and I think you guys said almost every single one of these, right? Quizlet, Kahoot, Quizzes, Nearpod, That Quiz, and Padlet. First of all, there's a lot of quizzes. There's a lot of assessing and gaming happening in those kind of lists, right? Nearpod is kind of presentations and polling and live interactions in terms of your presentation. And Padlet's kind of a collaboration space is kind of how I think of it. So that is Union County's top tools. But one of the questions that I always ask about requests for new products is, do we have something that already does this, right? I want to be a good steward of Union County Public Schools' money. I want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' dollars, right? And usually when I ask that question, I know if we have a tool that does it or not, right? But if I say, oh, do you know that we already have a tool that does that? For example, one of the very real things that we're going through right now is Screencastify was free in the spring, right? And I'm guilty. I advocated for teachers to use Screencastify in crisis management in March and April. And so we shared with our teachers how they could get the free subscription. They have over 5 minutes, and they have really become accustomed to using Screencastify. Well, now we're going to have to either purchase it as a district or find another solution. You know what's a really great solution? Smart Recorder. It's probably on your device if you have the Smart Learning Suite, and if you have Smart Notebook, you have a recorder on your computer that can record all kinds of things. And so that's kind of an example of how sometimes when folks say, Casey, can we buy this? Casey, should we buy this? I always kind of go through the index in my head and say, is this something that we need to purchase? Okay. And so most often I say, no, you don't have to purchase that. You could use Smart Recorder. And then they say, well, who's going to teach us how to do that? And so luckily, I'm also in charge of professional development in the district, and I can connect those two, and I can say, here's a solution, and here's some support or some professional learning that will support that. So that works out pretty well. Okay. And so Justin kind of gave us a list of things that we're going to show you today. And I've really kind of started. But the first one is integrate devices. We're also going to talk about Smart Learning Suite and how it helps us collaborate in game. It helps us assess and transform static content. So we're going to start with integrating devices. I'm actually going to, in the sake of time and my pace, I think I'm going to skip this shout it out. Because we're integrating your devices right now. I'm going to skip right to collaborate. We're going to spend a little bit extra time here. So one of the areas that I think that we as a district can grow, my professional development and kind of leading some professional learning opportunities. But one of the things that I saw, our teachers did an amazing job in the spring. They did so wonderful. They adapted, they grew, they did some awesome things. One of the things that I think that we're lacking in, and I know that this is going to be a focus area of our professional development this coming fall, is how do you give students opportunities to collaborate, okay, while they are all in different places. So I am going to share with you, okay, we are going to start a workspace. And I've never done it with this many people. So we're going to do 9 teams, and you're all being plugged into those teams right now. Okay. And I think that little message on there said, if you are not signed in 100%, then you didn't get put on a team. But you can just kind of watch along here. So I'm going to go ahead and start our workplace. Okay. And you're all in a workplace now. And I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to I think you can write it, you can use text, or any way that you want to share. We have been spending so much time as a district, and every district in the country is spending so much time trying to answer questions or trying to avoid questions that we can't answer yet, right? Like, what about state testing? In North Carolina, there's not been any news about that. What about attendance? How do we mark a student present, right? We have like so many questions that can't be answered right now. As teachers, I know that you have tons of them, but I want you to share something that you don't need to answer, a question that doesn't need answering in your workspace, okay? So maybe it is, how are you going to get to school? If you are going to have remote learning, then you do not have to figure out how you're going to get to school. So in your workspace, I would like for you to share a question that does not need to be answered, right? What am I going to pack for lunch? Because maybe you don't have to pack lunch. I'm going to just drop into your workspaces and I can kind of poke around and see what our teams are writing. Oh, see, good. Pictures are good. Pictures are good. What questions do you not have to answer? We're going to celebrate the questions that are off our plates. Where am I going to eat lunch? That's right. I've been eating my lunch right here at this table for like a gazillion years. How will we keep students healthy? Interesting. You think that's a question we don't have to answer? I'm going to give you maybe like 90 more seconds to work in your workspaces. See, as a teacher, for those of you who are not in a workspace, I can kind of take a look at my workspaces and I can pop into these little rooms and see what's going on. I really like this room. I really appreciate the person who put the classroom number in as their name. Where's the bathroom? That is a question you absolutely don't have to answer. That is wonderful. Good one. I hadn't thought about that. I like it, Team 5. Where am I going to park? Yeah. Where's my classroom? Do you use videos remotely? Where's the library? When is lunch? These are all questions you do not have to answer. Where am I going to teach? Probably from right where you are right now. Are we going to team teach? Ooh, that is a tough question. What will I wear on the first day of school? Yeah, I'm really having a hard time thinking about school supplies and buying school supplies for my kids. And someone said, well, we don't need to buy school supplies because they're not going to school. They are going to school. We're using a hybrid. My students are my children are in my district. We're using a hybrid. They're just going to use the glue sticks at my house instead of using them in the school building. So I still have to buy the same number of glue sticks, I guess. All right, so this is a workspace. Thank you for your contributions. Let's see, we'll just look at just a couple more. Yeah, well, I need an umbrella for tonight. I don't know if you're living in North Carolina, but you probably need one if you're living in North Carolina. It's looking kind of dark out there. How far should I be apart from another person? Yeah. How do we keep social distance in the winter? I think that's a question that we still might have to answer, unless your school's not coming in. All right, so you guys kind of get the gist, right, of a workspace. This is a really great way to have students work together. And to give them a chance. I didn't really have you work together and answer questions, but you could see what each other were writing. And you could write questions, you could add images, you could add text. So that's just one baby step in the right direction of collaboration, right? Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some games. Hopefully this is going to go without a hitch. Again, I've never participated in a class this large. So the first one is super sort. So what I'm going to ask for you to do is, you heard me say that my district is a stickler for student data and age restrictions in COPA and SIPA. And so I want you to go ahead and play the super sort. You should be able to play it together or on your own, right? And I want you to decide and see how well you do. This is just a self-assessment. If a tool is allowed for students under the age of 13, I don't know if you can hear that. Or if there's no parent permission. So you can just click and drag. And if you get it wrong, your little friends up here on stage get electrocuted. And if you get it right, it'll disappear and the crowd goes wild and they play a cool little riff. So you should be able to play that. I'm going to let you play it real quick. This is just a fun way for you to kind of check for understanding, and it's a self-check. All right, I'm going to skip to the next one. So now we are going to start a monster quiz. And so monster quiz is like the greatest thing ever. Kids love it. And it is so engaging and so fun, and it gives your classroom so much energy that I know that it will give students who are remote so much energy as well. I think that they will love it. So we're going to do it with you guys, and we're going to see who the smartest monsters are. So I'm going to go ahead and divide you into teams. Again, we're going with 9 teams. Some really cool names. I really hope there's somebody in here who's never played Monster Quiz, because that is like the best moment ever. This is so fun if you've never played it before. Hopefully you'll enjoy these questions a little bit. All right, so it looks like everybody's on a team. Let's say that I knew that, I just saw Lacey in here. I think Lacey's from my district. I was going to say, what if Lacey can't get along? Okay, how about this? How about I know Lacey and Blair don't get along? So I might have to move Lacey over here, and I can put Laura over here. If you know that that's something that you want to do as a teacher, that is an option that you have. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the quiz. You're going to see questions come up on your screen, and you're going to answer them. On my screen as a teacher, we're going to track progress of all of our teams. And I'll flip over, if you're not participating, you're just watching the webinar or the video, I will flip over so you can see what it looks like as a student. My student is right here, Mason. He's part of the heat waivers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. Get ready for your first question. I don't think you guys can hear my music, but it's happening. All right, so this is Mason over here. So he's a student in my monsters class. He's a heat waiver, remember? When you get the answer wrong, it tells you that you didn't get it right. See, our monsters are coming out of their little containers here. So I got that one wrong that first time. So it knew and it eliminated that as a choice. See, my monsters coming in. Ooh, 4 out of 5 correct. Heat waivers. Come on, heat waivers. Break that dinosaur or that monster out of that egg. Oh, the case creatures. Looks like they won. All right, I'm going to get Mason out of here. See, it says, well done, Mason Rimmer. We're just waiting for a couple other teams. That's okay. You can see here our case creatures are our first monsters. That's, by the way, my favorite monster. First of all, their name almost is Casey, and it's pink. How could you not love that one? Looks like second place was heat waivers, and third place was snow throwers. We got a couple more that are coming along. I'm going to go ahead and end the quiz, but that was a monster quiz. Was that not super fun? And so you get a little celebration, and you can review the questions here. Okay, you can look through and see the percentages. You can see how long it took for folks to finish, how far along they got, and then you can also do class reviews. So you can now do an item analysis. What percentage of your students understood the content, what you might need to reteach, things like that. Okay, so I am going to get out of here. Oops. So that was awesome. Fun, right?
Casey, as you're going through that, tons of great comments in the chat. Everybody seems to be loving it. Just giving you a check. We're at about a 15-minute warning till your hard stop.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We are doing pretty well here, time-wise, so that's really good news. So one of those items that we talked about with collaborate and game, the next one is assess. And really, to be honest, I think we just assessed, right? I think we just assessed your knowledge of COVID, but there's several other ways to assess. I'm going to do a quick response. If you need to be a little bit more serious, a little less playful, you can go ahead and create a response where students are asked questions in a little bit more formal of a way, right? So I'm starting an assessment here. I'm sure some of the folks that were in here were like, I'm not going to answer any questions. I'm just going to watch this, and I'm making you all really work. So you guys should be answering some questions. I'll go back over to Mason and you can see what he is seeing. So here it is, same content, right? I'm just using it in a little bit more formal of a way. Mason is out. I'll split my screen. I forgot I can do that. So I was able to add picture. Can have pictures and I think we passed few hours. So you can track the completion of your students over here. Notice this time I didn't get that question wrong. So I learned something and applied it. I have to submit. And then this is what I see as a student. I'm going to go ahead and minimize. And so most of my questions have been answered. Just wait on a couple others. All right, for the sake of time, so we can get to some questions, I'm going to end the activity. Sorry, for those of you who maybe didn't finish. And here you can see a similar item analysis, right, with number of students that picked each choice. So we had 35 students pick B. We had 8 students pick, 8 students didn't answer, right? 32 knew Louis Pasteur. Just a small number guessed the others. So again, item analysis, this allows me to kind of go through and take a look at what my students mastered and what we might need to look at again. So all of these options that I've shared with you are ways that I've transformed static content. I was able to assess, I was able to engage you in the content. Maybe you know a little bit more about COVID-19 and the symptoms and the names and the science behind it. Last year, it was a choice for our teachers, right? In normal pre-COVID-19 world, it was a choice to integrate devices and transform static content into this engaging way. It is no longer a choice. It is survival to be able to transform static content into this interactive, easily accessible way to interact with students. And so I think that's a really big piece here, is that we've had SMART for a really long time and we've never needed it more than we need it right now. And so it's really important for us to kind of think through some of that. I do want to give you an opportunity, and I'm going to go ahead and let you do this in just 1 second. But I did make some self-paced content that kind of would allow you to explore. And we made some things like a flip out rank order, fill in the blanks. This one is my favorite, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. You can all do it too. It's self-paced content. But Weston Kishnick is pretty amazing. He is an author and he's an educational speaker, but he has this quote that I love. And it is, I just had to think about it for a second. Learning is king. Growth is queen. Cool is the court jester. No. Yeah. No, I messed it up. Let's see. Don't put him in charge of the kingdom. I think I messed it up. Oh no. I messed it up. All right, let's see. All right, there it is. Learning is king, growth is queen, cool is the court jester. Don't put, and the jester has value, but don't put him in charge of the kingdom. And so to go back to that last statement about really transforming static content and integrating devices, you don't want the technology to drive the instruction, but you really need the technology to help with the instruction. And learning is king and growth is queen, right? But you do have to have the jester in there now, right? He has value, but don't put him in charge. So I have created some other self-paced items in there, and you can go ahead and look through those. But I wanted to share my Twitter handle is Rimmer EdTech, and you could reach out to me on Twitter. Please follow me. I try and show off all the amazing things that are happening in our district as much as possible. And that includes all kinds of really great things that are happening with Smart and other products. But follow me on Twitter, send me any questions you have. And then Justin, do we have some questions to kind of answer?
Casey, we had a few questions rolling in through the chat, but it looks like most of these have been answered to this point. We have a Smart response team. Response, I use air quotes there, he's been all over this right now. So I would encourage anybody, though, if you have any questions that were not answered by the Smart team, feel free to throw those in the chat right now while we have a few minutes. And we'll go ahead and take a look at those. While we give you a minute to go ahead and do that, I did want to say thank you, Casey, so much. This session was absolutely awesome. And what I really loved about it is how it was rather encompassing, right? You showed how Smart Learning Suite can be that all-in-one tool that so many people are looking for, right? I am seeing right now a few questions about, will this be recorded? This session was recorded, and the recording will be sent out to your email that you used to register for this session at some point next week. Another question that just came in here, are we integrated with Teams? And I am so proud and happy to say that, yes, we are integrated with Teams, officially launched last week. If you are a Microsoft Teams user, what you can do is on your left side toolbar, if you drop down to the apps section, open apps, search for Smart Learning Suite, and from there you can just click on. It will be added to your Teams app profile, and you can access Smart Learning Suite online directly through Teams. Likewise, if you are a Google district, we are integrated directly within Google. So we have a G Suite Marketplace app that can be added to your Google domain to get a seamless connection between your G Drive and Smart Learning Suite Online account. As we continue to roll through this, another quick reminder, feel free to go on social using the hashtag FFWDedu, and you will be entered to win prizes from our Smart eStore. All right, so I am taking a look right now, and Bobby, as I was talking there, I'm just rolling through here. Feel free to jump on if I have missed anything, but it looks like we are pretty much good. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going back through the chat and seeing all these awesome things that you're telling people that are coming really soon. Is there a way that I will be able to see some of that chat? Is that chat going to be archived? Because I was busy presenting, and you're dropping pretty good bombs in here about what's coming up and what additions are being promos and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, so Casey, as you know, always happy to have an offline conversation with you, especially. But to anybody who missed it, because we were getting the question a lot, it was a hot topic coming up. There will be coming soon as part of the next Smart Learning Suite Online update package is slated to add an option for audio. Now, I will say, because that is roadmap, the timing on that is always subject to change, but that is a slated update that will be coming soon. So look for that. If you have any questions on what that functionality may be or the timeline of that, I would encourage you to reach out to your local Smart Education Solutions consultants. They'll be happy to help you out. If for any reason you don't know your local Smart Education Solutions consultant, feel free to shoot me an email and I can connect you. I will throw that in the chat right now. And with that, Casey, again, I just want to thank you for delivering yet again another great session. If you didn't know, this is number 2 that Casey's been on with us today, everybody. So again, thank you so much for the time today, Casey. Great job as always. And if you are and have been around with us today, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Casey, I'll turn it back over to you.
I was just going to thank you for the opportunity to collaborate and connect on this, as well as helping us grow. Justin has been integral in helping us grow and our implementation and just helping bounce ideas off of and helping us keep updated with the newest thing for Smart. So the admiration is returned right back at you and all of Smart, Justin.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, Casey, I'm going to go ahead and cut you off here about 10 minutes before your hard stop, and we'll go from there. If anybody has any additional questions that have been unanswered in the chat, I am happy to hang out for just another minute or two while we close this up. I'm seeing some questions here. Looks like we're getting some questions in the chat about who your local rep is, and Bobby's getting those. I did throw my email in there. Again, I will throw that back in there right now. If you need to connect with your local Smart Education Solutions consultant, feel free to drop me a note and I can connect you to the proper person, all right? Again, with that, I just want to thank each and every one of you for sharing some time out of your day with us today. If you've been with us throughout this session we just did, or any of the sessions over the last 2 days as part of this Fast Forward EDU Summit, we sincerely thank you so much, and we will look forward to hearing from all of you very, very soon. Good luck with the upcoming school year. And as always, if there's anything that Smart can do to better support you, please reach out, and we are happy to do what we can. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.